Good morning, Gloucester. We're testing out a new mic today.
It's a handsome mic.
Very nice.
Great.
I'm very envious.
Yes.
You got a big mic, Joey.
Standing up straight and tall here.
This is the
Go big or stay home.
This is the yellow Corvette or yellow Porsche of microphones. Is as you know, for the men overcompensating for lack of certain things, shall we say?
Not a Mini Cooper, folks. I can tell
This
you
is
that.
not.
It's not a
This
Mini
is not a
Cooper.
Mazda Miata.
Yes.
This is not a VW Bug.
No, it's not.
This is a yellow Corvette,
Yes.
a yellow Porsche microphone. And we're gonna. Hopefully, the audio quality is.
Hopefully it measures up to what
That is always a problem, isn't it? Yeah.
There's
Call in
always
and tell
hope.
us, okay, folks? Call in and tell us.
It's GloucesterCast 301,
301.
Amazing.
which I just got done editing 300.
300.
But I really, I'm having I'll go around and introduce everybody after this one sentence. I'm having a little bit of a, I haven't figured it out yet, but K-Pan TV was really generous and nice
Yes.
to come down and record our really super fun podcast, the video style
Yes.
at the Crow's Nest, but they're not going to be back to work till Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know that they're going to get to edit it.
For a few days anyway.
So I taped it as well on my iPad. So I think we're gonna release the audio.
The audio? Yeah.
But I think that it is going to be absolutely worth the visual, the fun that we have,
I think you're right.
the shenanigans.
Yes, the shenanigans.
It needs
That's
to
the
be
right
seen.
I think that
Visual effects were a big piece of yesterday's.
yeah, I think so too. So we're gonna release
taking
it.
full advantage of the visual effects because we're, silent. We're, not visual at all here. So, especially your friend Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lammy Pie, who made the
Yes.
first.
Special guest star.
Lamb
Yes.
chops. So we have Paula Ryan O'Brien, which I always love when you come in because
Good
we don't
morning.
get to see you enough.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really enjoyed being here.
Thank you so much for bringing the speedy sauce today.
Oh, here he goes.
That's
Here
a
we
joke.
go.
I said
You
that. I
know
know.
that's
I
a
do
joke.
know.
Right.
I do
You
know.
know
I do
that's a
know.
joke.
I do know.
Right out of the gate.
Well, she's been
Sorry.
True. Fresh this morning.
Yeah. Yes, she has.
She's
We
been
were
fresh.
doing a podcast. I'm going to get that way.
Fresh. Heidi Dallin is with us,
Hello.
and Heidi's not. We won't be having any. There's no cast of.
She's just here to
She's
join
just
us.
here as Heidi Dallin today, which I'm
Yes.
excited
I
about.
like
That's
that.
right.
Yeah, very
I'm
good.
very happy to be
Because
here.
Heidi's very knowledgeable about Gloucester stuff.
Yes, she
she's
is.
a Gloucester girl for sure.
Very sweet. I love Gloucester.
Of course, Pat and Jimmy Dalpiaz are with us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jimmy drove yesterday to make it for the 300th.
He
He
did.
left at 3 a.m.
Oh, that's such a
from
long drive.
upstate New York to get here. It means a lot.
Wow.
And we finished the day, me and him, being tortured by the Red Sox
Yeah.
in David Price.
Oh.
The umpiring.
The
Oh,
umpire.
yeah. It was the umpire.
Kim,
Good morning, Gloucester. What?
she's a fucking Yankees fan. She's been teasing me the whole time. Paula Ryan O'Brien.
I'm allowed to be a Yankee fan. I grew up there. I grew up in New York. Not New York City, but New York State. Just like you did. How did you become a Boston fan?
It's a natural.
Because they're the best.
Oh!
Oh, good job.
Okay. All right. All right.
Long,
Oh, yeah,
awkward
he-
silence.
Having a little guy.
Long,
I'm
in case you
getting
didn't pick
getting
that
the
up.
honeycomb stare, by the way.
I didn't invite her,
It's
Joey.
the,
She just showed up.
you're dead to me look.
Yeah.
She's not dead
Yeah.
to me. She could never be dead to me. She could never be dead to me. You gotta hand it to. You gotta tip your cap to the umpire that gave the Yankees game yesterday. You gotta tip the cap.
He definitely. I think he listened to the interviews when the TV guys interview the managers live in between. I think he walks over and he hears, and he says, "Okay, I'll give you a break."
Yeah, that's what they do. I'm sure that's what they
It was
do.
piss poor. Did you watch the game?
I did.
Okay, objectively, Were you fucking watching the same game that we watched? Was the umpiring a little fucking wacky? Or
It was.
crazy?
I'll admit that it was. I thought it was a little wacky on both sides, but it was wacky. And I said to Jim, it's unfortunate that an umpire could affect a game of this level. It's wrong.
Thank you. All right, you just redeemed yourself.
Thank you.
And I also need to thank you because you saved us as Kim failed to take any group photos yesterday. Because you saw her taking photos.
I started taking
Yes.
pictures,
But
she
she bailed us out though. You have to admit,
I
she bailed us
didn't
out.
want to mess up the way they'd set us all up at K-Band TV and then jump over and take a picture. And I saw Paula taking pictures, so
Yes.
Yeah, it did take her a little while to get us set up down there yesterday.
I thought the lady and Jim were going to come to blows in the beginning. When you tried to explain that you were going to do the flugelhorn, and she says, "I'm in charge."
All I did was the whole crowd was there, and I wanted to tell them, "Hey, you're going to hear horn playing, and I want to get the cheer." So I wanted everyone on the same page. I thought it'd be great. And she walked up and just tapped me. Actually, she moved my shoulders quickly and just said, "You can't go yet. I am not ready." And I said, "Everyone knows you're in charge. I'll wait." But she was. She was really setting up. She knew her stuff. And
She was a pro.
Jan did a great job.
Jan something Levitz.
Jennifer Lee Levitz.
Jennifer Lee Levitz, yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah, I know Jen. Yeah,
She was great. I mean, she knew her stuff, but she thought I was moving in
She
on.
was scolding you.
Yeah, he got
She
scolded.
put you across her knee and spanked you.
I thought it was interesting, though, because at the end she said to me, I had so much fun. She goes, but I don't think I could do this. Be on a podcast.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. She totally enjoyed filming it. But she thought it was so interesting, the
How
interaction.
many people have we heard say that? They come right in here and they fall right into the conversation.
You know what's interesting to me? There were a lot of people that came there to listen because I could tell they kind of set up around us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was.
But I didn't know who they were, and I wish they would have introduced themselves. We had a great crowd, though.
We did have a great crowd.
And it was fun when the Yankees fans came in. And we gave the Yankees suck chant.
Now, hang on.
Yeah.
They walked in, and they announced they were from New York, and you naturally
And it was an
assumed
automatic.
That they were
Yankees.
Yankee fans.
And I found out later they were Met fans.
They are not
They
Yankee
walked right
fans.
up to me and said that, but it's okay.
We had a lot of fun with them.
We did.
They were
And they
great.
stayed the whole time. So they were having fun, too.
They really were.
Yeah,
They were
they were
on the way out,
clapping
they were
when people
laughing.
were
They were
clapping.
laughing,
And, yeah.
Yeah, so Marianne Shafford, we want to put this out to you. You're much like Heidi.
Yes.
She's in the Heidi class. You're invited to any podcast because she was a pro. She was just like
She did a great
she's
job.
natural.
I
She knew
loved
when
it.
to talk, when to shut up.
Yeah.
And she had great anecdotal stories. Very interesting. She was a great guest.
I was very impressed. She just did a beautiful job yesterday, representing the Crow's Nest and just being part of the podcast.
It was
I think she
fantastic.
I agree.
Joe, we
I
gotta
agree.
add one thing here. I did not realize she was with the Crow's Nest at first until you introduced her to all of us. Pat and I looked at her, she looked at us, and we went, "This is the lady." We were at the mile marker one day, just having a drink, and a bunch of teachers came in. It was the end of the school year, and they were having their celebration over at the mile marker.
Mm-hmm.
We could tell they were teachers all coming in. They had little gifts and everything. We walked over and bought every single one of them a drink of champagne. So we bought champagne.
They said it
and
was a
gave them,
retirement party, and it was Mary Ann.
and we said as
Oh, wow.
teachers,
Yeah,
and
isn't
it
that
was
cool?
her. That
Why
they
did you
were
bring
doing.
that up during the podcast?
He probably
It
wasn't
took
here.
them a
Oh, you
minute to
didn't
make
realize
sure.
it till afterwards?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I realized it in the beginning, and we talked about it, but there was such a list,
Yeah.
and it was going there. So we're sitting here now, and
Yeah.
and I did see her at the end.
Yeah.
Again, we talked a little bit about it again, but we bought everyone, and it was her. So I just said, "Is this a small world?"
You know what was great about the taping? We had the topics, the show notes that we put together literally in 20 minutes before the thing. But when I hit the last topic in my show notes, it was 59 minutes.
Yeah, excellent
Wow.
timing.
And if you have you done things? You've done things at Cape Ann TV, I'm sure.
Yeah, I used
They-
to host a show. Yeah.
They like to package things in half-hour or 1 hour increments because they have time slots.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, we put this with a bow tie on for them to fill some air for them.
Yeah.
So I'm
yeah,
really happy that worked out really well. We didn't have to fill, we didn't have to chop. They could put that into the machine, put title and credits on there, and let it rip.
It was perfect.
It was
was.
really fun.
Yeah, you did. Also, I want to say you did an amazing job managing everybody coming and going, all the things that were going on all around.
You know, at
It was a
this
distraction,
point,
too.
with 300, GloucesterCast, and I don't know if we get 30 homie casts or whatever. At this point, it's all kind of just everything just
second nature.
second nature. It's almost like when things are you don't think about your emotions. Everything just is
Like the Olympics when the athletes make it look simple.
Yeah.
You make it look
Something.
simple.
Oh, you're an Olympic podcaster.
No. But I'm trying to think of muscle memory.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is
yeah.
mind muscle memory at
Yes.
this point, right?
But yesterday was unusual in that it was at the Crow's Nest, so there were a lot more
A
distractions.
lot of
I was worried about the audio. I was very worried about the audio because my mic is not like a professional mic. But I listened to it. Towards the end, we all were getting really rambunctious, shall we say? And it gets a little muddled in the last 15 minutes, but the first 45 minutes, you can hear everybody, what everybody's
That's great.
saying,
Good, good.
and you can pick up on the energy. In the
Wouldn't
room.
want anybody to miss out on any of that fun.
Yeah. So, starting, I think it was either the yesterday morning or the night before, and I think a lot of people are having this. Facebook Messenger is just blistering people with some type of virus going through
around.
a Facebook Messenger,
Yes.
and they
very
all
weird.
start out with the same kind of line, so you can tell that it's kind of canned virus thing going around.
Yeah.
But Jim mentioned this, and I think this is a good idea to tell people how to handle that. So if you open up your Facebook Messenger for people that use Facebook or Facebook Messenger, instead of quickly tapping on each of those messages, because that'll open it up in your program, long press on those individual messages that you identify as spam. It'll open up a dialog box that says delete. One of the options is delete. You press delete, and then it's going to say delete conversation. You hit delete conversation. That'll rid it, and you won't have opened up something
Excellent.
that could potentially
That's excellent.
install a virus on your.
I appreciate
phone.
that because last night I was looking online to find out how to
Yeah.
get rid of them without opening
So
them.
the whole key, Joey, that you're saying basically
Long
is
press.
long
That
press.
long press.
Long press
And
until you
don't
get the
do
dialog
long
Long
box.
press what? What do you long?
The
the
individual,
actual message
the
on
message
Messenger.
that's the
Okay.
viral
Yeah.
message.
Okay, just hold you mean like hold your mouse down.
Press it like you mean it. No, your finger.
Oh,
on the-
we're talking
Oh, well,
about.
if
we're
you're on
talking
your
about
computer.
on
On an iPhone
touch
or a
screen.
mobile phone.
Oh,
a
okay.
touch screen
Oh,
of
okay.
some
Yeah,
sort.
I wouldn't even open them on your computer.
Yeah.
Do you not access Facebook through your phone?
Not Facebook Messenger.
Oh, you know.
No, I just look at Messenger on my computer.
Yeah.
So
I
there
do
may
the
be
same
a.
thing.
So I'm not positive about
There's
this.
a
but
button
there's
that
maybe
says-
a dot to the right of each message.
Okay, well,
You hit that.
You can delete it that way.
Actually, it marks it as red, and then it's like it.
Okay.
You're all done with it.
Okay. I'll look.
Don't
So
open it.
Don't. Okay,
Bottom
well,
line, don't
I already
open
did.
it.
Like open like so.
Yeah.
I think
well, you
almost
do it.
everybody opened at least one or two, but after a
do it
while,
first.
you need to not.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't do that. I'm almost 51 now. My birthday's at the end of a couple weeks. Jesus, it's coming up quickly. But not to bring up my birthday, but to bring up, I had my physical last year and was supposed to schedule my colonoscopy, and I haven't scheduled it yet.
Well, you
So I just want to put a mention out there because Paula said, and I know this is true because I hear it enough. Colon cancer is one of the, if you detect it early, is one of the most preventable cancers.
That's right.
Out of all of them.
Yep.
So I'm going to make a point to schedule my colonoscopy.
and if you don't have it when you have your last one when you're 80, and then after 80 you don't have to have one
There you go.
because it's so slow growing.
Uh,
Isn't it?
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So, but you have to catch it.
They say that the Like
Just-
they give you some kind of liquid that's
The
going
worst
to clean you out.
The actual
Yay.
procedure isn't bad, but the prep part is nightmarish.
Like the day before, I heard.
Yeah.
So you
It's
really
not
have
fun.
to
Give
plan
yourself
2
a
whole
couple of days, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Not like my vasectomy. My vasectomy, I went in 2 hours after my vasectomy. We were having lunch at the Halbert Point.
Yeah, it's not like
And you would
that.
think that I mean, taking some scissors to your nuts, you think that you're going to have a little bit more, you know.
Yeah. Also, I would just they told me, oh, afterwards you can't drive, you can't do anything, go home and sleep.
You have to be close to home because
I had tons of energy afterwards.
I
For
have
me,
too. I haven't had that issue.
For me, the thing.
Well, I
My
think it
experience is
depends. I haven't had one, but I think it depends on how you react to the
Anesthesia.
anesthesia.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because sometimes they use that Michael Jackson, the
Propofol.
Yeah.
That's really
So,
bad stuff.
and if you depends on how you react to that.
I'll tell
so-
you. Want me to tell you something funny? When I broke my elbow and dislocated it, I was in the emergency room, and the doctor goes, "Now we're going to give you some propofol. The stuff that that Michael Jackson died from."
That's how
Not-
that's how he described it to you.
My husband was like, "Why are you telling her that?"
That's
Yeah.
hysterical.
yeah, don't need to know that, right?
Right, I don't need to know that.
Yeah.
I knew it after the fact that they gave me propofol, but whatever. It worked.
Well, I got a feeling that guy was on all kinds. That guy, Michael Jackson, was probably obviously
Yeah, and he was
addicted to a bunch of stuff. And
Well,
he had that doctor was just a guy that
Oh
was
my
a
God.
paid,
Right.
A yes man, a lackey. So,
just give him.
and I
Paid
mean,
supplier.
you're not being injected with propofol like every night, like Michael
Right.
Jackson.
Right.
Michael Jackson.
To
Yeah,
sleep.
yeah.
So,
Right.
They wouldn't be having it and giving it to you.
He was so good look. Michael Jackson was so good looking when he was younger. I was just thinking about that the other day. And then
he was cute.
he was really cute.
Yeah.
And then surgery after surgery after surgery. Yeah.
I have to say another thing. Melanoma is a cancer that can be
Preventable.
cured
Right.
if you get body checks and you get your body checks. And I just went for my check this week.
Do you go to Northeast Dermatology?
No, I go to Mass General
Okay.
Pigment and Lesion Clinic because I had melanoma when I was 15.
Oh,
Wow.
so yeah.
You know what I can't stand about that, and I'm not to not to dissuade anybody. Everybody needs to get checked. What bothers me about the whole the
Skin cancer.
skin
stuff?
cancer thing,
Right.
like if you have to have a mole removed, like you go into your regular doctor, he says, "I think you should have this looked at." So you're scheduled to go and have it looked at. So then you go in, they get a copay for you already had it looked at, but your physician
Yeah,
looked at, so
yeah.
you paid that thing. You go to the skin guy,
Right.
they look at you, they say, "Oh, we're gonna get we're gonna biopsy this or
Biopsy.
whatever," or they look at it and say, "All right, we're gonna have to have you come back in a couple weeks." So you go in for the procedure.
Right.
They do the procedure. They take off the mole or whatever happens to be, and then they want you to come back to take out the stitches, and then they want you to come back to check you out. To check you out again.
So
It's
that's
like
5 times.
it's not really 5. It ends up being like 4 visits,
Right.
and like you have to go. You have to take care
Yeah.
of it. But it's just irritating to me. I'm not saying you shouldn't go, but it's
But
irritating.
it all depends though on what kind of the last one I had removed, I did not have to go back, and it wasn't the procedure he used. I didn't have stitches, and you can't even see my scar. And then the one before that, because I usually end up having to have something, she looked at me and said, "I can biopsy this, or I can just take it out. What do you want to do?"
Like, take that shit out.
And my regular
Yeah.
doctor, who's been my doctor since I was 15, had heart surgery, and he wasn't, so she was filling in for him. And I said, "What would Dr. Sober do? Do whatever he would do." So, and then I didn't have another appointment. So it really,
So did they just take it out?
Yeah,
Is
she
that
just-
what Dr. Sober
yeah,
would have done?
yeah, she just took it out. Yeah, Dr. Sober, as they say, he's the best relationship I've had with a man in my entire life.
One of those long
He's
lasting
the most
ones.
dependable, the most. He's amazing. And
His bedside service was up to par. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. Oh no. Listen. When I had my thyroid surgery, when I had my thyroid cancer surgery, it had nothing to do with him. I was nervous because everything happened really fast. I was gonna go into Mass General and within 3 weeks, and he called me, talked to me on the phone for 40 minutes.
Wow.
And we talked about everything, including, people he had known that had gone to this doctor and where my mother should stay because she couldn't go, what hotel would be good and this. I mean,
Really?
just like doctors that.
The ones that
do
really
they even
want to help
exist?
people.
Do they even exist anymore?
The ones that
Right.
really
You know?
want to
I
help
think there's
people.
good doctors.
Yeah, I do too.
He's just he's been amazing. So I say to him, I'm like, you're the best, longest relationship I've had with a man in my
Well, and I think because we hear negative about so many things, that when something good happens, it's good to note it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
good.
he's great. He hooked me up with a great eye doctor. I was having eye doctor problems. His eye doctor,
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you who I could recommend for a dentist is
wait.
Dr. Leaf Backlund
Yes, you
and
love
his
him,
team.
don't you?
I love those people. They are next level, and they're so kind and so sweet and so patient and so accommodating, and they have all brand new, the latest equipment, and they have music piped through the place. They have toys for the children. They parting gifts for the children. My children say.
When's our next appointment?
My children say, when can we go back? I mean, it is that kind of a situation. So, shout out to Harbor Cove Dental. Can we talk, Jimmy, about the debacle that was and how disappointing last night's Red Sox game was? It was only one game. Why do I feel so defeated right now after only 2 games? They split the homestand against the Yankees. Why do I feel so horrible about that loss?
Because
the
the
Red
mighty
Sox
giant
bullpen is
the
such
mighty
shit.
giant Red Sox that can hit the ball and go everywhere just were totally thrown off.
Flat.
And I don't know if I could safely say it was Yankee pitching that threw them off. Sometimes you got that really good pitcher that you got to just tip your hat saying, wow, you made fun.
Like Sale in the beginning of the season.
And it certainly wasn't the crowd. They were up. I mean, the crowd was right in it. It just, when your strike zone is kind of all over, it made them think at the plate, and they took care of it. I mean, they had a swing at some things that they normally would have not swung at. Even the announcers alluded to that once in a while.
It was depressing. The Red Sox seemed flat.
And let's face it, Dave Price, he gave up that big hit, and that kind of pushed
Judge?
his head in a different.
Judge seems like the breakout star that they've been saying that he's going to be.
That one I thought hit the train, if not the highway. I thought it was going right at the stadium.
I've never seen a baseball player with that type of physique.
Well, that's what I said. I don't know how they ever walk him. He's huge.
How they don't walk him, you mean?
No, because his
Intentionally
strike zone
walk him.
is so, right. His strike zone is so big. I don't know how you
We
would.
talked about that last night. I would have walked him.
His waist is, still thin there, but his shoulders and his legs are like tree trunks. He's a fucking specimen.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to facing that guy for the rest. He scares. I don't know. Whatever. I just hope that they can make it respectable, because I'll be really depressed if they lose the next 2 at Yankee Stadium.
They're a good team, and it's going to be a whole new day. And even though now they go to Yankee Stadium, and that's a whole new crowd.
Don't feed
But
off
they're
that.
used to that because that's where they finished up the series. So it's not like we're going uncharted. It's they'll go for it.
Well, listen, maybe they needed a kick in the pants to get them. They've been doing well all year. I went to a Sox game. Like, I never leave before the game's over because you always think they're going to lose.
If
Like,
you do.
they were winning. I left like a little bit. I left before the last at bat, and I was ready to hear like, "Oh, they lost" or something, and they won. So maybe they needed a kick in the pants.
You shouldn't need a kick in the pants. They're facing the fucking Yankees in the playoffs. But I mean, that's like they shouldn't. You don't need to have a kick in the pants at that. But that's the. You got to be jacked up right there.
Well, two teams that traded and paid people to be there for this moment.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why everyone's looking at it. Everyone. I'm sure there's GMs and other squads looking at it saying, we got to do this. So if it works or doesn't work, they're going to look at it. So that's why this game is really under the microscope.
Well, and historically, the Yankees have been better with the pocketbook than the Red Sox have, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The energy in the stadium was amazing. My son was at the first game, and he said it is unbelievable to be at one of those games.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Well, Fenway Park, to be at Fenway Park, and there's so much.
That's
it's
what
not
I mean.
like one of those brand new ballparks, which are awesome, but you're there. It's history when you think about who else has played there. The Harvard Yale game is going to be at Fenway Park this year.
Really?
Yes, I know you're super excited about that. I have no idea why. I won't be going.
We could have gone to, but we chose not to. We turned it down. Who'd you turn down? I turned down the other one. So you say what you did.
Oh, so I know Thanksgiving's a little bit of a ways away, but you already got the news that your daughter is bailing out on you.
I got the news. Yeah, she was like, Mom, I have to tell you something.
Oh, she was sitting on that. She came home this weekend.
Tell you face to face.
Face to face, yes, really.
She's going to Paris,
not,
though.
Not face to face, driving in the car.
Right.
So what alternative do I
So you couldn't,
You'll veer off and
leave
drive
the
right
room.
into a tree.
That was very wise of
You
her.
couldn't pretend you didn't hear her and leave the room. You couldn't.
Stammer off.
Yeah.
Long, awkward silence on the whole
just
ride
like
home.
that.
In the same sentence, she told me she was going to Paris, so I had to pretend that I was happy.
It's not too early to start thinking about
I'm so
Thanksgiving.
happy
now.
for you, honey. That's so wonderful. We're going to miss you.
Will this be the first Thanksgiving you spend away from her?
Yes.
Oh wow!
Yes.
That's tough.
I'm actually surprised. She's not a spring chicken anymore.
No, but
Ooh,
that's
that's a
good.
nice thing
Thanksgiving
to
is
say.
my
Oh.
family's favorite holiday, really.
Oh, there you go.
So everybody loves to come over Thanksgiving.
I love Thanksgiving as well because Thanksgiving is all about football.
And this year, the Tiger Woods big thing.
What's the big thing with Tiger Woods?
The Tiger Woods challenged. Who's the other golfer? My son's going to kill me. It's $1 million challenge that they're going to play, and winner takes all. And they're
I
doing
don't
it
care.
on Thanksgiving Day.
I don't care.
Okay.
No, I'm going to say
it's
this.
about football.
I don't personally care, but I recognize that there are, and it boggles my mind, but there are a ton of people that absolutely will be glued to that. Like a phenomenal number.
Yes.
That event, there's going to be two guys from what you're saying,
Yes.
and it is going to, for that network, it's going to do outrageous numbers because Tiger Woods is carrying the entire PGA, even though he hasn't won a major in some ridiculous amount of years.
Yeah,
He
4 or
still
5
has
years.
he still has cachet that
People love him.
they love to watch and root for him, even though he hasn't won a major in forever. And when he is in a tournament, the ratings and the amount of people that go there, it's what one individual person dollar wise brings to an individual sport. He has more impact on the game than I think any other professional athlete anywhere.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
Do you think it's because they want him to win, or do you think they want to see him fail?
I think it's
No,
because
I think
they
they
want to win.
I think they want
I
to
think
see
they
him
want
win.
him to win. Yeah, young kids still idolize him.
And it's amazing to me after what he went
And
through.
it's a classic, comebacks, American comeback story.
Yeah.
Well, that-
so,
yeah, that
I think
alone
people
would-
want
yeah.
him win.
Well,
He's had a few passes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing to me. Like, I see that's what is to me. I wish someone that was like a real true golfer could explain to me why that guy means so much to the sport when he hasn't won for that long. And there's all these young kind of hip guys: Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, there's a ton of like these
I agree
young
with her.
dynamic
I
golfers
agree, yeah.
that get
Yeah.
no attention, and they've been performing and winning majors compared to him. So that's what's just interesting to me.
It is.
I will not watch that
because Thanksgiving is football.
because Thanksgiving is football. I'm happy for other people that I know it will mean a lot to them, that they will be glued to it. But for me, I don't give two shits about it. But it's fair. I'm glad you even brought it up. It's interesting to me to maybe someone can explain to me. If Chris McCarthy was here, okay, Jimmy, here's your assignment. Next time we have Chris on the podcast, he's all about golf. He was the captain of our golf team in high school. Got recruited scholarship at Bryant College to golf. Golfing today with Mike Coder. We need to ask him, why do you think that people are still so fascinated with Tiger Woods?
Sure.
You got that?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
the
thought
Turners too, because the Turner boys are both,
Huge
love
fans.
Tiger Woods. Yeah,
And they're like of a they're young.
yeah, yeah.
So, and
they're,
they love Tiger Woods.
they're in college,
Like,
yeah.
what is that? Like, what is that? They don't remember. They can't. I don't think that they were. Their thoughts were Tiger Woods, or maybe they were like just starting out in golf.
probably. Yeah. I mean,
The last time he was relevant. Well, he's still relevant,
Yeah.
despite not winning.
Yeah. Although Mark did sit at the banquet when Rudy played Pebble Beach this summer, Jack Nicklaus. So he was pretty
So-
psyched about
Well, I
that.
think it has a lot to do with name recognition, don't you? I mean, it's just
Yeah, but
curious
somebody
about-
like Rory McIlroy, who is amazing
Right.
and has won some really nice tournaments recently, he does not get the kids
Kim,
don't follow
like,
him.
when he's-
people don't,
Yeah.
When
there's
Tiger
something
is-
charismatic about
When
him.
Tiger is like in a tournament and he's like within like a couple strokes of the leader, like social media
Just
he's trending. Like that guy is trending when he's not even winning tournaments.
But that started, I mean, his father, I think, was a very good, not only Tiger Woods' dad, I think was a good golf coach, but also a very good marketer as well. Because
savvy.
it started with Tiger Woods was a kid. It was so...
I know that I know the
And the
story.
endorsements and...
But the endorsements came initially from him winning, and he was charismatic and everything else. But like, it's been so long since he's won. I mean, I don't know. Again, I could be the dead horse. His father hasn't like. They don't mention his father for 20 years. I mean, the first 5 years.
in the beginning. And then when he was on, like, the downswing, he dated a Olympic skier. And then they were in all the gossip columns. And Rory McIlroy, all those other guys, they have, like, quiet
They're not
lives.
playboys.
No, Dustin Johnson is married to Paulina Gretzky.
Oh, Wayne Gretzky's daughter. Who
Yeah.
knows? Who knew?
Yeah.
Not me.
Well,
Right?
Well, I know it's football, and we'll go back to it, but I just want to get out there that Tiger Woods will be playing Phil Mickelson
Oh.
for that challenge, and it's going to be in Las Vegas.
wow.
And that's the
on
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving Day.
Yes.
And I thought Thanksgiving was about food.
Yeah, it's
I
all
didn't.
about. It's all about.
I didn't realize that it was about football.
Food is a factor. There's no question. Food is a factor. And this is going to be my first year cooking a bird on the kettle. the rubber
Nice,
kettle.
nice,
Oh.
nice.
I can't wait to see the video.
I can't wait to do it. I feel like I should. I feel like the turkey is cheap enough that I can do a practice run.
Oh yeah, good idea.
You know,
And then
just to
think,
make
You
sure.
need
something
practice
like-
tasters.
Yeah.
Hey, here's an idea. The podcast before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a Thanksgiving themed podcast, and I'll do a bird down here for us.
All the
Good
friends of
idea.
Blood can listen to you guys eating.
That's good.
That would be awesome.
No, because from what I understand, if you do like a 10-pound bird, it only takes like 3 hours to cook. So I get here at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It'll be ready for when. So I would need you guys to.
Yeah, we'll
someone.
bring on-
I need.
I'll
Okay,
bring on
so
a side
I need
dish.
you to do
Yeah.
like the stuffing.
Yeah.
I need you
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Don't tell
Don't
her
say
potatoes.
potatoes.
Please don't tell her potatoes.
I'll do this.
You're fucking Irish. What are you talking about?
I-
You
She
better
is.
do the potatoes.
She doesn't
Potatoes.
like
Fuck up the
potatoes.
potatoes.
She doesn't like them. She never makes them. It's crazy.
I do not like potatoes.
I'm not
You
kidding.
know what?
Look at her that way,
do you
not
want-
me.
Do you want to make stuffing, and I'll make mashed potatoes?
Okay.
There you
All right,
go.
let's try that. Yeah.
The fucking
I know you're having trouble with this. I know it's what makes
Her
me
family.
special.
We have trouble with it.
Yeah.
Ryan.
All my life.
Ryan was your last name? Are we,
Yes.
are we
Yeah.
wrong?
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. I
And
don't know. It's
Flynn was
somewhere-
our mother's name. You know,
Some
she.
G.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna give you a couple of things where people go off on mashed potatoes. They don't put enough butter,
Yeah, you know,
Agree.
butter
and they don't put
cream.
enough salt and pepper.
Agree.
And a lot of people, there's a lot of people.
I agree.
Like these people that try to do healthy
Oh,
mashed
no, I don't make
potatoes,
healthy mashed potatoes.
get the
So-
fuck out of here with
I,
that.
well, I make them on Thanksgiving Day. I probably won't make it this way, but I heat up the cream too, so that
You have
pour-
to,
You
yep.
pour the cream in and the butter and whip it and whip it and whip it. Lots of salt and pepper. Mine are not health food mashed potatoes.
God bless you.
God bless
Jim,
you.
can I come over?
Yeah, because Jim doesn't get potatoes unless we have a family function and all of us bring potatoes.
My birthday's coming
Who
up,
even
and they
are
always
you?
give me potatoes for my birthday.
We do.
I-
We cook
they,
him
They actually
potatoes.
put it in boxes, and they all make it, and I have to guess the
It's
answer.
a thing.
I think
You know, like taste it out of the
Yeah.
box. And
Do I
go,
need
oh,
to?
it's Paula.
Do I need to obligatory every year? I demolish my mother on her the way she cooked poultry and pork. Every year, it's an annual tradition. I feel bad, but I must bring up. I had an aversion for the longest time of like eating chicken or pork products because growing up, my mother, you know, the overprotective mom, God bless her, would
cooking up
always
all the germs
like
out of
you know scared. They put the health scare of what the cooking safe cooking temperatures are, and she'd overdo it all the time. So all the time we had like pork chops, they're always dry.
I still can't eat pork chops.
Pork,
Oh
right?
my gosh, pork chops on the grill are the best.
You know something Anthony had around those pork chops? I put that his pork chop on that at Tono
Okay,
up against any meal in town.
really?
I'm
Yes,
telling
you've
you
said
right
that
now.
before.
I've said it a million
You've
times.
talked
When he had the first the grand opening or the soft opening, the construction crew that did the interior work
Right.
at Tono, they were there. And they had me there, and Safati was probably, all the usual suspects that get to check out the cool stuff. So Kate and I were walking in, and the construction crew, all these big burly construction guys, you gotta get the pork chop.
Which you
And
said
I
you have an
said-
aversion to pork.
And I said, the
so.
pork chop. In my
yeah.
head, I'm saying to myself, there's no way I'm getting the fucking pork chop.
Right.
Pork chop, the best pork chop goes along the lines of, these other foods that could never be tens. You know how we've had that conversation before.
Yeah.
But they were so adamant, and these were all working
Big
kind
burly
of
guys,
like,
yeah.
working
Yeah.
guys like me. I'm like, there has to be something to it. I ordered the pork chops, and it did not disappoint. It was
That's
it was
awesome.
a brined pork chop. I think I told you this also before, that I went to the next night. I went to another restaurant in town that had brined pork chops on their menu,
Oh, no.
and they were fucking horrible.
Oh.
And I got them because I was thinking in my head, oh, it must be the brine, must be
Because
the
you
thing that makes
automatically
it.
think,
got over
I gotta
that
have it again.
childhood.
Yeah, yeah.
You thought you'd gotten over that childhood
Yeah.
I'm like,
thing.
oh, they're brine, so they must be as good. Oh, if they're half as good as Anthony's, I'm gonna love it. They
Not so
sucked.
much.
Oh, wow.
It was a decent restaurant, not a cheap restaurant. So anyway, go to Tono.
So
I'm really,
to Thanksgiving, just to say, Thanksgiving, it's about food, it's about football, it's about music. Cape Ann Symphony Holiday Pops. You kick off the holiday season.
on Thanksgiving they
Thanksgiving
have a
weekend.
show. Oh, there you go.
So Saturday and Sunday, when you're tired of
After you've gone shopping
eating,
or whatever.
you've gone shopping, there's going to be 3
You'd
concerts.
like to get away from you'd like to make sure the family stops talking to you.
Yeah.
You go to a concert.
You go to the
Everybody
concert
has to
and
sit quietly.
Yeah.
and the Cape Ann Symphony Chorus is performing, so it's going to be some.
See, that's a perfect idea. That all the men can send the women and their girlfriends to go see the symphony while we watch football.
Yep. Yep. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Perfect. I like
We're having Thanksgiving at our house for the first time.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I think that's awesome.
I'm really excited. And you got to lay down the ground rules about Thanksgiving. That it's about the food, but then it's about
It's about football.
Don't
I get
fucking
it.
break my balls and tell me I got to sit in a room and not watch football during fucking Thanksgiving.
So what time will you eat Thanksgiving dinner so that you can be sure to have
Let
maximum
me see.
football?
The first game's on around 12. The second
It's
game's
on.
at
It's
4.
got to be on the TV at all times.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Well,
It has, except for when you're eating the actual meal,
Okay.
you help out like whatever she's gonna need done setting up,
Right.
and then we're watching the game while the setting up
Well,
part
setting
is
up,
done,
right? Then
and then we eat the meal,
you quickly eat.
and then we go and I'm happy now because we get the couch for downstairs and we have the nice setup downstairs. So the people that don't want to watch football, you can stay upstairs and you can all chit chat and have a nice
Do the
conversation.
dishes, whatever you feel like you,
can
need
have
to do.
you can have a nice conversation amongst yourselves. I'm watching fucking football, and if they don't want to watch it with me, I'll go downstairs and watch it. And if no one else wants to watch it, I'll watch it by myself. But I'm watching fucking football. That's the fucking rule. Okay? Are we all clear?
We all
Are we
understand.
all clear?
I tend to go to Jim and Pat's for Thanksgiving, and they have football on the whole time. It's
Thank
a
you.
tradition.
There
It's
you
what
go.
they do. However, during dinner, they turn the sound off, and Jim puts music on, which is nice.
Nice.
It's
No,
very
that's
nice.
nice. That's
It's
nice.
nice because that gets the conversation starting. The problem is that the television faces one way, and the table. So everybody wants to sit on that side of the
Oh, yeah.
table,
Yeah, I
you know.
can see that.
So it's a little elbowing getting in to that side of the table so you can view the
I'll be
television.
honest with you. That's the one thing I would not give anyone a hard time for turning off the TV during the meal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a hard time with that. But when the meal is over,
And when we were growing up, Sunday dinner was halftime of the football game on Sunday.
there you go.
Every
And the
That's
time.
TV was pulled up to the table.
Yes.
That's an all
Every
American family.
time.
All American family right there. God
Every
bless your
time.
family.
I remember the day that Heidi interrupted the end of the football game.
Oh yeah.
Because the TV was pulled up to the dining room table. Our grandparents were there, and we were having Sunday dinner. And the next thing you know, here comes Heidi.
The Wonderful
1
World
minute
of
is
Disney
football,
interrupted the football
not
game.
Heidi, the
The
girl.
movie. Heidi.
I'm sorry, yeah,
Heidi,
not Heidi
the movie.
Dallin.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about 100 years ago.
What are you
It was,
talking about?
Well,
It's a
on
joke.
Sunday
Come on,
evenings,
everybody knows
the
this story.
Wonderful World of Walt Disney would start at 7:00 every night on Sunday
Sunday.
night,
Oh.
and so that
So they
year
preempted the
they
football game
did.
with Heidi?
They cut it off.
yeah.
A
Yeah.
really tight game.
Oh, really?
It's a well-known.
Yes.
It's a well-known
Yes.
Oh, okay.
network
Yes.
gap.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I've heard
Yes.
about it.
Yeah.
All yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
I
Heidi
remember.
game.
I
The
remember
Heidi
that
game
day.
Yes.
in
Yes.
quotation marks?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to look that up on
You've gotta
YouTube
do
and see if
that.
someone
Yeah.
has
Then
like
you'll know
the
how
actual
old I
cut
am.
to that.
Yeah.
Like, ah!
Yeah.
It was,
Freaking out.
it was one of those like football games that ran long, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It was tied
Absolutely.
up, and it was really,
The
and
Jets
then
came all the way back with a miracle comeback,
And nobody saw it.
nobody saw it on national TV because back then it just cut away,
Oh, my
and there's like the world of Disney.
And there was- yeah.
And
was
we
Heidi.
were
They
watching
were playing.
Heidi.
yeah.
the story of Heidi,
Yeah.
my namesake.
Yeah.
That's why I was named.
So,
Well,
Is
you
that
would
what
know,
you're
right?
named after?
So, Kim,
Yeah, my
I have
mom
a
loved the
question for
story.
you.
okay, and then I have a question for the Ryans too.
All right, do you want to get that out of the way? Go ahead.
Well,
Does it have
just-
to do with what we were just talking
Yeah,
about?
well, just about family. Like, so Bob Ryan is your cousin.
He is.
Yes.
So
He
how,
is.
so how is he your cousin? Like a first cousin, second cousin?
Second, I think his dad
And our grandfather.
Slugger?
and our grandfather were brothers.
Brothers.
Wow, so you're really close cousins.
Wow, you are actually close
Uh-huh.
cousins.
Yeah.
Slug Ryan, yeah.
It was, yeah. And it took
Iconic
me-
guy on the waterfront, by the way.
It's funny
Frankie's
'cause that's what
Frankie's
Jack
father's
said.
best friend.
Slug Ryan.
Yeah.
Slug
Oh
Ryan.
yeah. And we, when I first was tracking him down as a cousin and trying to make the connection, we went into the Ryan and Wood distillery, and to meet to see what was going on over there. This was a number of years ago now, and his wife was attending the counter, and we were chatting, and I was just about to say, oh, I think that we might be related, and he walked in the room, and I took one look at his face, and it had what I knew was
He looked
our
like
Ryans.
Grampy. Yeah.
And he kept saying, "Oh no, I'm not one of those Ryans. My Ryans are not the prominent Ryans, I guess,
My
or
Ryans
whatever."
eat potatoes.
And
My Ryan's baked potatoes.
Yeah. So
we
that-
make vodka. We use potatoes every way we
And
can.
I said, "Oh no, you're one of my Ryans. I can tell just by looking at you." And he is.
Wow.
So
cool.
Ryan of Ryan and Wood.
Yes.
Because my uncle is Bob Ryan from
Oh,
Cato.
Cato, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So.
Cape Ann Transportation and
Yep,
the
yep.
other
No,
fun stuff.
no. Well,
That's the other Ryan.
Bob Ryan is married to my mom's sister.
Okay,
So
I'm lost. Anyways, okay, what was your question? Sorry. What was your
Bob
question?
Ryan of Cato.
There you go. A question that I had for you was, we're going to double back to the conversation we had before. Do you have any turkey tips on making turkeys? Do you have an internal temperature you look for? How do you know when it's done? What size turkey do you like to get?
Okay, so I usually, sometimes I cook 2 10 to 11 pound turkeys, or I cook like an 18-pound turkey. And then I always cook it, I don't brine it or do anything because I don't have a tenderness problem, but I have this nice roasting pan, and I just pop the turkey down in the roasting pan, put a couple inches of water in it, and then cook it at a very slow temperature, 325 all day for the recommended amount of time. But I also put vegetables in, and I never
Where do you
stuff
put the vegetables?
all around it, like
In the roasting pan.
in the roasting pan.
So the drippings will go on to it.
And then I baste it first I rub it with olive oil, salt and pepper, and then I baste it very liberally throughout with butter, because I quadruple my my gravy recipe. So I need tons and tons of buttery rich pan drippings and stuff, because my family is fanatical about leftovers. So we like to have like leftovers that at least last 2 or 3 days of leftovers. Great enough gravy to last 2 or 3 days of that. And then I usually tell that it's done by how it smells, and then I put a little fork in towards the back end, and when the juices start to run clear, that's when you can tell that it's done, instead of pinkish. When the juices start to run clear.
That's
So.
it.
And then I let it rest. Then I let it rest for like 40 minutes afterwards.
40 minutes.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that the best size turkey is between 10 and 12 pounds. If you get a turkey between 10 and 12 pounds, it'll cook evenly.
It cooks
If you
evenly.
go bigger than that, the one part will finish before the other part.
See, I don't have that problem, but I do. I have tried cooking 25-pound turkeys, and that is hard. That is hard to do it. But 18, you can still do an 18 and get it pretty even. But
Do you make homemade cranberry sauce, or do you buy it?
no, I do both, because one family member likes jellied, and then the rest of us like a homemade. And I make more of a cranberry relish with oranges and stuff like that. Yeah, do you want that recipe?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't want the recipe because I probably won't make it myself.
Yeah.
But I'd like to eat it.
In other words, when you do your little Thanksgiving here,
No, what?
Cranberry would be
No,
good.
but I'm a big fan of like
Oh, and
turkey sandwiches with the mayonnaise and,
Oh,
and the
yes.
cranberry
Yes.
relish.
Oh, you know who has really good cranberry relish? Is that Stonewall.
Stonewall Kitchen?
Kitchen, yeah.
Try that cranberry relish.
Yeah,
Tom-
that's good.
Tom is loving
Yeah.
that. But the main thing is also never stuff your turkey.
I do.
Yeah, well, you can get really sick. I've seen that happen a couple times at relatives' houses. So, especially if you pre-make the stuffing, because there's a lot of bacteria that happens in there. So I make like triple the stuffing recipe. I use fresh bread, toast the bread, saute all the mushrooms and the onions and the celery and do all that stuff, and then I just put them in pans. And then I take turkey pan drippings and drizzle that over the stuffing mixture before I bake it. So I just think it's safer. And you get this beautiful crispy top. So
Ooh,
it's
yeah.
moist underneath,
Yeah.
but then you have crispy golden nuggets on top. So that's how.
I'm ready for Thanksgiving.
I know, right
That's
now.
why I said I
Bring
think it's
it
about the
on.
food.
Let's go.
Did you ever have anybody get sick in your family?
No.
Yeah.
No,
I've
but
never heard of that.
when I make my stuffing, I do it that morning. I stuff it that morning,
Yeah.
and then I take it out immediately while the turkey's resting.
Then you
The
take it
dressing's
out,
out of it already.
Yeah, I think that's when
And-
people get into trouble is when you leave it.
If you
in
leave
there.
it sitting
If
in
you leave
there.
it sitting there for 40 minutes and
Yeah.
then you serve, you're
Yeah.
pulling out the stuffing
And it
while
is
you're slicing.
it is far more moist.
Yeah.
The pan stuff is fine if you need extra and everything,
Yeah.
But the way my mom always did it, and we put potatoes in our stuffing.
Stuffing.
Yeah,
Wow,
my father's mother and my mother's mother did it differently.
Everybody does.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
one did a
Yeah.
meat stuffing and one did a bread stuffing.
Yeah.
And they were both really, really good. So I wouldn't really pick one over the other,
But they were both.
but they were both really
Really
good,
good.
but completely different.
Yeah.
One with
Yeah.
very heavy
Yeah.
with the potatoes, one with heavy with the meat and stuff.
Huh.
Very interesting.
And then walnuts. Lately, I've been putting pecans or walnuts in. Those are really good. 'Cause it's
Oh,
just when
people
they get
put
to-
grapes in it. They put apples in it. They put
I'm a big
all
fan
sorts
of.
things.
This might be a little bit off topic, but if you wanted to try a certain type of nut in your stuffing,
Yeah.
I would try pine nuts.
Mm.
I love pine
I
nuts
like
in
that.
That would give
meatloaf.
such a nice
Oh, I think
flavor.
that would be a good
I love
flavor.
I love
Yeah, I
pine
love
nuts.
Yeah,
that
that would be a
flavor
good
too.
flavor.
Okay, so we got that. I want to give a shout out to our friend Shrewsbury and Frank Shalino and a plea for more stickers.
Do you know what color this year? They just always come. They always surprise
I think
you.
I'll let them pick one, pick a color. I don't want anything too out there because I want people to actually put them on their cars. But we're going through quite a bit because Manny he does that Man About Town
Town,
kind of
right.
like he's always on the
and-
boulevard and he's giving them to people.
Oh, that's great.
Pat gave about.
They were very popular yesterday at the Crow's Nest.
Yeah. So there's that. I'd like to give a shout out to Melissa Cox and Dawn Artizzoni and Jessica Biker that have been doing the show at the Paint
And I
Factory.
think Bridget as well.
Bridget, yeah, but I think that the other ones are like kind of
Oh, okay.
managing
Gotcha.
the thing. So yeah, please, if you guys hear that. Kim's daughter's blowing her up because she's not there to make her breakfast.
No, I'm just texting her to see if she's up. Sorry.
It's 9:49. What do you mean? Is she up? She's 9:49.
She
You have to
was-
worry if she's up.
No, she went out with some friends, and I said I'll be there at 9:30 to make breakfast for everybody.
Oh, and you're late right now.
And I'm
Yeah.
late, but I'm not gonna kill myself running home
If she's not
she's
even
not
up yet.
If she's
not
still
even
sleeping.
up. Right. So I just texted her. Are you up?
Oh, that's nice of you.
Yeah.
Nice and thoughtful mom. So next Sunday we're gonna have Ken Riaf in to pimp his new show at Gloucester Stage, My Station in Life, along with Ken Balton, who's playing
Yep.
Simon Geller.
Ken Balton's playing Simon Geller. Yeah, it's Ken has written. He's local. A lot of people probably know him. He's a lawyer. He's also
Does he have an art gallery or something in his place?
Oh,
he sends me press releases.
he does have some artwork, yeah, and he's also worked on films with Henry Farini as well.
you go.
And they did a film about Simon Geller, Fishtown it was called, and where they followed Simon Geller to New York, and it was a documentary. It was on GBH, and now Ken has written this play about Simon Geller. It takes place in the 80s, so you can relive all the 80s fashions and
please.
fun.
Oh, no.
So there's that. And one of my students, Megan Gallo, is in it, and she was trying on some costumes yesterday during class. The costume designer came over, who's Laura Giardulo, who is from, she works
Dress
with
Code.
Dress Code, and she is also the costume designer for Holiday Delights. I work with her frequently, and Megan was trying on all these 80s outfits. And stirrup pants. Do we remember stirrup pants?
Oh, no.
Yeah, stirrup pants in the
80s
bright
was
colors.
Stirrup pants were like a
Leggings.
pre-leggings.
Yes.
Strap
Yeah.
pants,
Yeah.
pegged what were the the parachute pants. There was
Oh,
the,
yeah.
Yeah.
MC Hammer pants.
MC Hammer pants, but there was the jeans that everybody used to own. Z Cavaricci's.
Oh yeah, that had like the weird
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
waistband and the
There was
pockets.
a lot of acid, dye
Washed
wash
stuff,
kind
yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah. So
Shoulder
but
pads.
It
Not our
really
proudest
is-
moment.
it really is a
Benetton
piece,
sweaters on the women.
it really is a piece of history, though. I mean, what Simon Geller was about, the last single-owned handheld radio station in the country. I mean, when you think about, all the radio stations now are all owned by big, WBZ is now owned by iHeartRadio, and is, their offices are no longer at WBZ TV.
There's one.
There's the river.
What's the one in Bach? Bach in Beverly.
North Shore
North Shore 104.9.
which is Simon Geller's license.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow. There you go.
that's
Look
Simon
at how you
Geller's
tied
license.
that in.
They were
I
the
love
ones.
our friend Aurelia Nelson. She never comes in anymore. We need to get her
Aurelia.
in.
Oh, really?
We'll get her.
Get
She'll
her
come
in.
in.
Tell her to come in.
You
I
should
will.
bring her
We're
in,
old
Heidi.
friends.
You and Aurelia.
Yeah, really. Yeah, they're all coming to see my station in life. So, because the Tangers ended up buying the license, Simon Geller's license.
He was very involved at the chamber, the Tanger. What's his name? The guy.
Todd owns it now.
Todd.
Doug Tanger was the one who bought the license originally.
I gotcha.
And then their dad, Woody, also owns some other radio stations, I believe. So, the Tangers. But it's great that it's still on the North Shore. It's gone through some different format changes. But Simon Geller played classical music exclusively.
And who was the guy that played in Gloucester in Ken Heck's building in the basement?
Simon Geller.
That was Simon Geller.
He was on, well, it was Duncan Street. I'm not sure
Duncan Street, yeah. On the,
which side. He was on Duncan Street and then Maplewood Avenue. But
Right.
it was Simon Geller.
that was Simon Geller.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that was
And
Simon
was that
Geller.
broadcast all over the country or just in our area?
That
Sorry,
I
need to
don't.
put you on the
I
spot.
don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know you can go online. There's a website that you can listen to rebroadcasts of Simon Geller.
Oh, I'd like to do that.
Oh, that's interesting.
What's the website? Do you
So
know?
it's,
I
if
could
you
probably-
Google
if I look it
Simon
up?
Geller, I think it was WCVA.
Well, I'll
I
check it
just
out.
was on the website
Yeah.
yesterday.
That's fantastic. I
and
want
you
to do
can
that.
listen
Just stream
to
it. Yeah.
And if you go to Gloucester Stage to our page about the show, the video clip is an audio of a
perfect.
Simon Geller broadcast.
Perfect.
And he was a real, he did things his way. Or he would say, I have to go to Boston today, so I won't broadcast. Or I have to go to the drugstore and pick up a prescription, so I'm going to put a really long
Yeah.
opera
I'll see you in an hour.
and I'll see you in an hour.
Wow.
And he was very, very vocal. If there were things he didn't like, he let people know.
Wow.
I was reading some things he didn't think Gloucester had enough arts. I think that was one of the things that I was looking at on the website. And he would rail against things. He didn't want advertisers.
Wow.
He really had his own way of doing things.
There you go.
And
Well,
and
I'm
people,
looking forward to seeing the play. It sounds wonderful.
yeah. And the guy Ken Balton, who's playing Simon Geller, he's a professional actor from Boston. He really is all in, and he wants to come here next week. That's the press opening, so he's going to get up early before the press opening, come here, because he really knows how important Geller is to Gloucester.
Well, let's leave some for next week too.
Yeah.
There's
Next question. So.
questions that Ken Riaff, between a film and a play, Ken really knows everything.
I had no idea Ken Riaff did all this stuff. It was amazing.
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. GloucesterCast 301.
301?
All right, I'm going to go around the room. When do you think I should post it? Because 300 is getting posted tonight. Should I post it? Wait, hold it off and post it tomorrow night?
Yeah.
301?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would give
Nothing
it a day
is
or two.
time-wise, right?
Right.
All right, we'll
Right.
post this on.
Right.
When you listen to this, you're listening to it on Monday night.
On Monday, yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jeff.
Thank you.
GloucesterCast 301, 58 minutes and 34 seconds, and boom.